Hello and welcome to another video from In3D Software. Today I want to talk about Part Designer and how it's a powerful tool for the creation of bespoke one-off pieces very quickly and easily. So because imos uses AutoCAD technology in the background, what we can do is harness that power to create our designs using geometry and drawings that are provided to us. So what I'm going to do up here is just click New Order, and I'm going to paste from supplier's drawing in here the shape of a top. Okay, now they've provided in here a series of drill holes for various patterns that they want making, and that's because we've got a side panel in here and then down at the bottom, and then we've got a Modesty panel in here along this section as well, and then another side panel here, and then I think we've got some fittings in here as well on the underside. So what I'm going to do is get rid of these drillings because we don't need these ones. We're going to have these created via imos, and I'll just keep these ones in here for whatever fitting it is that the end user is going to use, some sort of brackets. So what I'm going to do now is convert this drawing into one closed polyline using a polyline edit command, which is a simple AutoCAD command, and then I'm going to join that up. So I've now got my closed polyline, and I'm just going to go into 3D view here and go up to my design tab, Part Designer, click on my part, and that's now going to bring through my worktop. I can then reorientate this so that when it goes onto the CNC, it's actually in a nice position. So what I'm going to do is say that number 4 is my baseline in here, and edge 1 is also number 4. So now it's going to run all the way around like that. That looks a little bit better. I can now click tick, and I want to apply these drill holes to the underside of here first. So if I just quickly switch back to wireframe view, I can then come in and select the part, and then what I'm going to do is say that in here I want to pass AutoCAD elements as drilling. So I'll select those drills and then say that they should be 20mm fixed depth from the bottom, and click tick, and it doesn't look like that they've shown up, and that's because I just need to go up in my level of detail. There they are. Okay, so now I need my edging on the top of this part, because right now you can see that I've gone up in my edge of level of detail and I don't have any edging tape on here. So what I can do is simply open up the part, select all of my edges, and then I'll go to the properties for it and choose a 2mm white edging tape and specify that this edging tape in here is not a machining edging. I want that to just be an edge banded profile. So I can change that. What it's doing is just letting me know that you're going to change this property for all of these edges, and that's fine. And then what I want to do is work through my trims. So this is easy to spot again if I go back into my top view, and then in here I want to select edge 1, which is my first edge, and I want to say that that is actually long. So what I'll do is say in here that that is long, and it's going to run through here and stop that edge short. So then my next edge, this one I want to be short, so I can say in here short to this edge. These edges I want to be undefined because I want them to sweep around, but this last one I want it to run long, so I'll say that that should be long in here, and that's run through nicely. Number 6 should be short, and then I've got this last length running all the way around as one continuous length as set as long. Okay, so now that I've got my edging in there, let's get some side panels into this thing. So what I want to do now is go back to Part Designer and then say Parts Edge. So I'm going to say I want parts from this edge, and that's now going to create 2 parts. And what I can do now is change the offsets and the insets on this. So this should be set to the bottom, but should be classified as side panels. And then what I want to do is say that the part's height in here should go all the way back down to the deck. That looks better. And then you can see that I've inset this from the side a little bit, which is fine. So what I want to do now is say that that inset in here isn't 50mm, it's more like 25. I think that's a little bit better. Yeah, this looks good. So now that I've got these inset, what I can do now is just say that these should use the same material as before. So now it's flush. Now I might want to just move this in just before, just for my edging tape. So let's say that that should be a 27mm inset. That's a little bit better. And then I want an inset to the back of 2mm as well, just for my edging tape, and to the front in here as well, -2. That's better. So now I've got my side panels looking good. I can then, if I want to, add in my edging tape again. So I'm going to select the edges on these and say that these edges should all use the same edging tape as before. And these should be set to edge before CNC because this is just a rectangular top. Now, because this is shaped, I want my CNC to cut the shape and I want it to edge band it. So let's just go back to the top. And I'm going to select all of my edgings and say that instead of edging before it gets to the CNC, this should be edged on the CNC. Now I just need another side panel in here, and what I can do in this case is actually use another part designer tool. In this case, what I'm going to do is use a part from Polyline. So I can then use a polyline that's going to run from this edge in here and come all the way down, and I'm going to say that this should be, I don't know, 400 in this direction, and then I'm going to move that in 27mm, and then I want a part designer from that polyline to make that part. So you can see in here that this is referencing the center of that line, and I want it to be offset to one side or the other. I'm going to bring it in a little bit more just to allow for cables, and I want to change this part definition to just be standard. Again, it's going to be a side panel using the same 25mm material, and in this case what I want to do is change the height. Now if I need to measure, I can use right click, measure, and say from this point all the way up to here is 720mm. So I'll say that that is the upper edge and the height of the part. Okay, so that now gives me my final side panel in here, and now what I want to do is click tick, and I'll put my edgings onto those three sides as well. And then in here what I can do is say that that is the same edging as before. These should be edged before they get to the CNC, and in this case I've left it as undefined in here, so that effectively means that it's up to the operator to then choose how they want them to be edged, so that's no good. Let's just select these edges in here, and I want those to all be set as short, and that means that it's now going to run in short to this side here, and then I just need to do this edge here. And then say that that is edged as long. There we go. That's now looking quite good. So I need some fittings to hold all of this together. So let's go back to Part Designer and then choose a connection situation. And in this case, I'm going to use cam dowel or dowel cam, and then say that this should fit onto these two pieces. That's now going to put all of those fittings in. And you can see it's using this lamello fitting in here by default, which I don't necessarily want. So what I'm going to do is go up to my properties, select my part and run a connection scan on it. And now you can see all of the various fittings that have then been downloaded. And what I want to do is change it to this type of hetic fitting in here, which is a bit more meaty. But I want to flip the orientation of these because you can see that they're all facing outside, and that's no good. I want them facing inside. So what I can do now is come into the fittings, and if I just run a fitting scan, There we go. I can then select all of these nice and quickly. And then say that they should face inside. So I've now manually changed the orientation of those fittings all in one go. Okay, next thing is to add in some sort of modesty panel as well. So if I go back to my part designer, the next thing I want to do is use what we call apart from points. So in here I can say apart from points, and it's going to be this point right here. I'm going to draw all the way across and then down, let's say 250 millimeters, and then all the way across again. And that's now made my brace. And I can then do exactly the same thing again. So I want the core material to be the 25mm board, and click tick. And then in here, I want to add in my edging. So I'll say select edge, go to my edge tape. And then in here, I want to go specify my 2mm edging tape, and then add in my fittings. So again, I'll do a connection situation, dial cam, between the parts that need the fitting. And you can see now I've got those fittings all nicely lined up. Now I want them facing outside on this so that they are actually away from the visual indicator on the underside there. Okay, this isn't looking too bad now, so I think what we need to do now is maybe just add in a little bit more machining, and then we'll send this to the CNC. So let's select our top, and in here what we can do is use AutoCAD again to draw a circle. So I'm just going to say that I want a circle, and I'll center it on this fitting here like that, and then say that this should move this way 200 millimeters, and then it should mirror about that line. So I've now got that fitting on the other side. And actually what I want to do is center it on these fittings because I don't know what they are. So let's get my midpoint in here and center it there. There we go, something like that. I can then select the top, and in here add circle as a pocket, and then I want to select my top again, and this time turn on 3D working. Oh, there we go, and check that the CNC is going to put that pocket in from the underside. I'll turn 3D editing off, and now I've made my desk. Okay, let's go into here, and then what I want to do is go start, save order as. I'm going to save this as desk and generate the CNC data for it. And then what I want to do is run this down my workflow that's going to be etching this on the CNC. Here is my report. You can see the first part is my CNC of the top. Here's the part, and you can see I'm doing the format contour. So the tool is going to run around the outside. Then I want to blow off the tape, blow off the dust, and then go through the process of applying each of the edging tapes. Do the corner roundings, and then go through the process of all of the drills. And then finally down at the bottom, a couple of circular pockets there. And then we move on to the next part. Okay, let's have a look at these on the machines. So if we go up to the program, we now have this nice feature where we can open up the program straight away from within imos, go to our work surface, and let's open this up in Woodwop. Here you can see we have our initial cut, blowing off of dust, edge 1 is applied, edge 2 is applied. We're now trimming that tape short to make sure that it's nice and flush. Now we're adding on additional edgings. We're then snipping those short, and then we need a flush trim. So we want that to be scraped nice and flush all the way around. And now in here, we also want to just round off that corner ever so slightly as well with the tool, just to kind of give us a nice finish. And then we move on to our drillings. Okay, that all looks good, but we want to make sure that the customer is happy with it. So before we run these on the CNC, we should show this to the customer. And the easiest way to do that is, if we just get rid of all of our original DWG data, is now go to the Output tab, and we can use the new iXShowcase feature. So I'll click on Showcase, and what this will do now is transfer the data, copy it onto my clipboard, and that means I can now email it to a customer. And then what I want to do is bring it up in my web browser. So I'll just bring over my internet here and paste that link in. And very quickly you can see I've got my visualization of the product here. So the customer can orbit around and have a look at all of the information, make sure that they're happy with the visuals and where all of the drillings are. And if the customer is happy, we can run the product. So we've generated the CNC data. We can also send this to the saw. The next step then is to generate this as iXScout data. So what we want to do is save the order again, and this time we'll go to Document Manager and we will run iXScout information and do a scout output and click Save. So this is now running Document Manager, and in the background it's going to create the technical drawings that we require to be uploaded to the internet for the production team. So once that's created, we then want to go to Organizer, and in this case we can see that we now have one called Desk, and we have our price generated for the product, and we want to now go to iXScout and update. So we've updated in Scout. Let's go to our Scout dialog. So we go to Scout here. We have a pop-up within imos that allows us to log into the website directly within the software. Okay, so now that we have our products, we can now zoom down all the way to the bottom, and we can see Desk has now been uploaded. And if we go to the Visualize tool, we can visualize just as the customer did. But what's nice is we also have the ability to now generate technical drawings for each of these parts, detailing all of the information. I can then mark this information up . And share that information with production. Please edge on the new edge bander. So if I'm in the production office, I can open up my website again and go to iXScout, and I can see that a new job has been released. I can go to the viewer, see what it is that I'm making today, and go to the dialog to see if there's any notes for me. And I can see in here that I need to edge on the new edge bander, and see what it is. Okay, so it's a side panel, and I now just need to know which part. So if I go to the preview, it's this left-hand side panel in here, and here's the information about how that should be edged. If you have any questions about Part Designer, imos software, iXScout or iXShowcase, please get in touch. Thanks for watching.